After leaving Chiss Space, Jedi Nuru Kungarama and the clone troopers of Breakout Squad receive orders from Chancellor Palpatine to escort the representatives of New Republic allies to Coruscant. But the mission turns deadly with the arrival of an armored warrior with ties to the Separatist alliance. Will Nuru and Breakout Squad defeat this villainous foe, or will they meet their ends at Shattered Rock?
Younglings, and welcome to Padawan Library, the only Star Wars junior novel podcast. I am your host, Texas Levi, and with me, my co-host, Tim May.
814 PA for life.
PA for life.
Always diss Texas. There's nothing I feel better about than hating Texas my whole life.
I mean, we've talked about politics on our
it's not even about politics.
I love for Pennsylvania politics, but the politics in this state are so screwed up. They are.
Well, yeah. It's not even only. I mean, whatever. That's a huge part of it, of course. But Texas and their whole we're our own. Then secede. Just secede. Fine.
That's actually funny. I've actually saw a bumper sticker recently that said Texit on it, like Brexit, but Texit. Oh, it's like,
I mean, obviously not going to happen, but it's like, they showed how well they would run on their own with
it would be, they would fall apart.
Yeah, disaster. Anyway, I don't know what a weird way to start the episode. I apologize. I know we have at least one listener in Texas, and to him,
yes, we do. Shouts to him. I'll see him soon. So
congratulations to Grant. Anyway, so
hey, did you do that thing for him? Did you get that popcorn bucket for him at the movie theater? He wanted you to get that photo.
Wait, did I get I think I did. I will.
Okay.
I think I did. If not, I'm going tonight, so I'll get it tonight.
What you seeing tonight? You said you were telling me you got tickets.
Me and a friend of the show who'll never be on the show, Dan, not my brother, are going to see Rad, the bike movie.
Wow, on the big screen.
They're showing it tonight.
Nicole Kidman's first movie. That's
BMX Bandits. That's BMX Bandits. This is Rad. Never I've never seen Rad actually. It's like it's a people a little older than us. I feel like it's a big childhood favorite for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never seen that one. I'm excited to watch it tonight. But BMX Bandits by Brian Trenchard Smith, the Australian film, Nicole Kidman's first movie, is a classic. People should check it out.
It is. AMC theaters right now, it's their 100th anniversary. So for their 100th anniversary,
I don't really buy that it's their 100th anniversary.
I don't either. But they're calling.
Are they counting whatever? One of our theaters, this land used to have a theater 100 years ago on it.
Yeah, they say 1921 is apparently
There's
when
no
AMC
way
started.
That's when they started. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but that feels completely false.
I agree.
That feels like Chick-fil-A claiming they invented the chicken sandwich. The thing that makes me almost the thing that makes me the most mad about Chick-fil-A. The second most annoying thing about Chick-fil-A.
Well, anyway, they got Nicole Kidman to do a promotion that they run before every single movie, where she walks in the rain in this trench coat, and then you see her walking down this fancy AMC hallway, no coat on, meaning this AMC is so fancy it has a coat check, and she does this little monologue about how in the movies we can feel heartbreak, but it feels okay. The heartbreak's okay. And then they show her, she sits down. They show they do a montage of movies, but the first movie is Jurassic World. and she's just
World?
sitting in Jurassic World. She's sitting in a theater alone watching Jurassic World. They showed Jurassic World, Wonder Woman, and La La Land.
So all like from the last decade. Okay.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if they put Jurassic World in the continuum of American classics. That would be
yeah.
like. Because if that was the case, I'd be like, well, why not just use Jurassic Park, a movie that people actually still remember?
The superior made movie, I agree.
You agree? I can't believe it. What a out there opinion that one movie that's obviously better is better than another movie that's obviously worse.
Oh, well, I want to say I've had a long week. My computer bit the dust this week. Had my first week at work. It's been stressful. Well, I won't go into that. I don't need to go into that. But I've managed to see 3 movies in this past week. All movies that you've seen.
And we've all. Let's get to the one that we're going to talk about for a while at the end. Let's save.
That's what I was thinking.
Let's save Many Saints for last.
All right. First one I want to talk about is Bond. I want to talk about No Time to Die. And I'm going to say I'm sort of spoilers. Wait.
I feel like we have to. We're just gonna skip ahead like 5 minutes if you don't want spoilers.
Yeah. Well, what I'm gonna say is I'm 99.9% sure that he's gone, but I know of 2 characters who have come back from the dead. That's Jesus Christ and James Bond. Because some people YOLO, but those 2, you only live twice. Yo, baby.
Well, he's already theoretically lived twice because the Daniel Craig Bond is distinctly a separate entity in terms of continuity. The Up Through Die Another Day is essentially, even though it doesn't make any sense, is a straightforward narrative. So yeah, Bond. I mean, they're just gonna recast and start over.
Yeah, they start over at this point.
And I don't think they'll do like a new origin. Like I don't think they're gonna remake Casino Royale, but I think they're obviously going to just start over. I mean,
start over, and I think it's fine. I think there's this movie here. They have all the little nods to all the other movies. The story kind of has an end to it. I thought this movie was good. I enjoyed this movie.
I really like this movie. Yeah. I mean, it's divided the Bond fan base. From what I can tell, I'm a real Bond fan. You don't even like Spy Who Loved Me, so you don't count.
I didn't like Spectre. I didn't like Spectre.
Well, nobody likes Spectre. No shit, it's better than Spectre. If it wasn't better than Spectre, we wouldn't even be talking about it, honestly. I'd be so depressed. It's still only the 3rd best Craig movie, I would say. But I really liked it. I mean, I'm a big fan of I love Craig. I think he's definitively now the 2nd best Bond. Because
I was going to say that same thing.
Well, just because he was already my number 2 for probably since Skyfall at the latest. Maybe even honestly since Casino Royale, which is one of the 2 best Bond movies probably. But but certainly since Skyfall, he's been my number 2. But now he's like cemented there for me because he's the first Bond ever to go out on a good movie. Literally never happened before. Because the last Connery is unfortunately Diamonds Are Forever. He came back. I mean, I'm talking the Eon movies. I know Never Say Never Again, which is also not that good. So whatever. But and then you got View to a Kill for Roger, which stinks. And then even Timothy Dalton, who only made 2, his second one is worse than his first. And then much worse, License to Kill. And then Die Another Day is the worst Bond movie. So,
I mean, George Lazenby, he
doesn't count. He only made 1, and also
he went out on a high note. Though.
That movie's a masterpiece. If it was Connery, it would be the best Bond movie by a mile. Like that's my feeling on that one. If that was like Connery's last Bond movie, like it should have been, and it was the same script, everything else the same, it would not even be close. It would be the best Bond movie. But Lazenby just is flat and not very good. The rest of the movie's great, so it makes up for it. But anyway, No Time to Die. I was happy with it. If people are actually mad about Bond being dead, I guess whatever. This is its own special run, the Craig run. In my opinion, I don't think there's really it's kind of haphazard, the continuity of these 5 movies, but ultimately they brought it home, I think. And it's a stylish, fun movie.
And not only is it a stylish movie, but last week we were talking about how a lot of Pirates is shot on location. It's not this green screen garbage. And this is, they still make these Bond movies like they should be making action movies.
Yeah, that's the reason Bond remains, of the mega franchises, it's my favorite, consistently. Even if it's bad, even a bad Bond movie like Spectre.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
you're still excited.
The action sequences in that movie still rule. The locations are awesome. Like, the plot is nonsense and it doesn't work ultimately, but it's like, it still is a fulfilling experience because you get something out of it. Whereas, if the plot's not working in a Marvel movie, it also looks like shit. It also leaves no distinct visual impression. You know what I mean? So it's like you gotta give me something. Like, that's like, if you're making some big spectacle, like, make it spectacular. Like, otherwise, what's the point?
And this movie's spectacular. The cold open, the big car chase scene through Greece or whatever that is.
3 cold opens, basically.
It does. That first cold open is really cold too. It's like
it's so cold. I actually really liked that. The little girl that got to play young Leah Seydoux looked like exactly like her. It almost made me think it was her daughter or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was very weird. Anyway, good movie. I'm pleased. I'm looking forward to whatever they do next. I might, I'm going with the internet's favorite and saying that Dev Patel should be the next Bond. That'd be really cool.
All right, that'd be interesting.
I love him, and to me, if you're gonna go, like, I think they might, with a non-white James Bond, which I think a Middle Eastern or Indian British person would be maybe the most interesting way to navigate that, just given the legacy of Bond as a colonialist character. But we don't need to go deep on that, but that would be interesting, I think. Anyway.
Well, now we should sink our teeth in a movie you and I have not gotten to talk about. A movie with lots of teeth. Venom.
Let There Be Carnage.
Let There Be Carnage.
So I almost didn't see this movie, but I finished one of my classes this semester. It was only a half semester, and I finished all my work for it on Sunday, and I had nothing to do. And I felt like the end, even though I still have other class work to do for other classes, I was like, this feels like the end of something. Like, I'm going to treat myself. And I had seen every movie. I was like, maybe I'll go see Bond again, because I usually try to see a Bond movie a couple times in the theater. But it's also a long one, and I'll get to it maybe again, but there's a loaded month. So I was like, I guess I'll go see Venom finally. So I went to see Venom, and just for background, fans of the show probably know I'm a huge Spider-Man freak.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically a Peter Parker freak, and specifically a Spider-Man comics from the 60s through the late 80s. And then a brief return to love in the early 2000s freak.
That's like I'm on eBay and I'm trying to search for things by year, and instead of just clicking all the years, I just click the years that I know. Take the 90s out of there, unclick that.
90s Spider-Man. No. But no matter how much Marvel wants to relive the 90s for some reason, even though they almost died as a company in that decade. Whatever, I don't need to get into it. I find that there's something. I'm very interested in what Sony's been doing, because they have this deal with Marvel for the Spider-Man movies, and obviously, spoilers for Venom, I guess, because there's a post-credit scene that ties it into the new Spider-Man movie, which is not that surprising. But even though I don't think these Venom movies are good, really at all, I think they're actually pretty bad, like kind of extremely bad in some ways. But I can just appreciate that they genuinely have their own vibe in a way that no other superhero movies currently do. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
So, I appreciate that, first of all, it's a passion project for Thomas Hardy. I almost called him.
He got a story credit on this one.
Yeah.
He's all about this.
A passion project. He is obsessed. He loves it. He brought Andy Serkis in to direct. And I heard an interview with Andy Serkis on a podcast, and he said, like, he's just like, how did you get involved in this project? He's like, to me, it begins and ends with Tom Hardy. Like, he was just talking about it like in the most serious fashion. And these movies are insane, and this one in particular, like, the first one's pretty crazy. This one is fucking wild. It's a comedy, basically, and I actually think the comedy stuff is actually kind of funny. You know, like, two-hander between Eddie Brock and Venom is amusing. Like, they're basically an old married couple. Like,
they're arguing. They can't keep space together. You know, they break up for a moment. They got to get back to then. There's one part that made me. There's actually two parts that made me laugh. They're very
similar parts.
Yeah. Well, right when the wedding is happening, Carnage hits the bride character. I can't remember her name, and Venom goes, "Uh-oh, marriage troubles already." Like, that made
Venom is just like such a jokester in this.
He is,
which is surprising because that's not really my view of Venom in the comics. Although, to be fair, I really only have I've read a lot of later Venom, but like my view of Venom is mostly based on the first couple stories with it. So.
Well, and I'll say that one other thing that made me laugh is, like, there was a moment where, like, they're fighting Carnage and Woody Harrelson, and, like, Tom Hardy goes, "Look, they're not symbiotic like us."
They're not, and then Carnage literally says at one point, he's trying to kill Carnage with loud noises, as you do with separate him from Cletus Cassidy.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally screams at him, "Let there be carnage."
Well, Woody Harrelson says it like way earlier.
I know. He does.
Within the first 15 minutes of the movie.
But that one was the funniest to me because I'm just like it's such a weird, like. Yeah, because he says it like in like one of his weird poems or whatever early on, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then later on, he's just like, as a way of saying, "Don't hurt me anymore." He's just like saying, "Leave me alone," basically saying, "Let there be carnage." What a weird movie.
And also, too, Woody Harrelson's character, the opening flashback of him as like a teenager is in like 96. So like Woody's playing like a 40-year-old.
I mean, he's aged. He looks. I think that I see some 40.
I bought it. I wasn't like.
I mean, he's obviously in his mid-60s. He
has to be in his mid-60s.
He was on Cheers. I mean,
right.
But
his character has to be like a similar age to Eddie Brock, really. But you know.
But the funniest thing is the flashback with him as a teenager. Did you notice that they dubbed Woody's voice into him?
Yes.
What is that?
It's so wild. They put Woody's voice in there. And this is the opening of the movie, and this is like, it sets the tone for how crazy this movie is.
Speaking of James Bond, Naomi Harris, who plays Moneypenny, gives a wild ass performance as Carnage's girlfriend in this movie. Just an insane performance. There's like, I mean, there's just also like Eddie is like mad at Venom because he's smashing his TV, and he says it's a $4,000 TV. It looks nowhere near a $4,000 TV. Like, I'm just like, I feel like you could get that TV for like $200. Like, it didn't even look like a very big television, let alone like.
No, it wasn't like, and he didn't even have it like wall mounted or anything. Like, it's
like a $4,000 TV. Like, what? I don't even know what a $4,000 TV looks like at this point because we're not really to the next like leap in like TV technology yet.
How about Donnie Wahlberg?
Hilarious. Hilarious that he's in it.
I do not understand that moment with him at the very end, the last time he sees it, where his eyes turn that color and he just goes, "Monsters." Did you understand that at all?
No. I wonder if they're trying to set up Morbius, because that's like he's a vampire. So.
But Morbius is already, like, that's a Jared Leto movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's not out yet.
okay, but I thought like Donnie Wahlberg was becoming his own monster.
I wonder if like him saying monsters, it's like this is gonna be like the Universal Monsters but with Spider-Man villains, but no Spider-Man. I I don't know. It's weird, and wacky stuff.
And when Venom goes to the rave, and I love that scene. Venom with all the glow sticks on him, and the person performing, she's performing Venom, the Eminem song, but in a different language too.
And then Eminem has a guest verse on the closing credits song.
Mm-hmm.
So and by the way, the closing credits song I think is by Skylar Grey, who was like only known for singing hooks on terrible early 2010s like Eminem singles. And I'm just like, does this woman have a career outside of like terrible treacly hooks on bad Eminem comeback singles? Like, I don't know. Anyway, goofy movie. Also, it was in and out in 90 minutes. If it was like 10 minutes longer, I probably would have been more annoyed by it.
I agree, but I had the fact that it was short, it was so silly, so stupid. I had a really good time at that movie.
And I mean, I actually, to say something nice about it, I think Andy Serkis did a pretty good job. He's proven himself to be a pretty cool, pretty fun director. Like the action was pretty well choreographed and staged.
If anything, this movie made me cement my like for Venom, because the Venom movies are so anti-MCU movies.
But now they're going to be a part of it.
Now they're part of the MCU, and this is where I'm worried, because they can't do my boy Venom wrong. Venom's my boy at this point. I love Venom.
Well, we'll see what happens. Before we get to Many Saints, I also want to talk about quickly, on Monday night, I went to see a revival of Scream.
Mm-hmm.
One of our favorite movies of all time, a great movie. Holds the fuck up, by the way. Like,
I believe that.
I was in a packed house and people were cackling. They were responding so hard to Matthew, of course, Matthew Lillard, who is insanely, like, should have won an Oscar for it, in my opinion.
I know.
I'm not joking. That is not a joke. like, he's so fucking good in that movie. It's insane. I think everyone in that movie is great, but like that performance, he balances the entire thing. Like, if that performance doesn't work, the movie falls apart. It doesn't fall apart, but it doesn't work ultimately, because like he has to be ridiculous and terrifying, like, and he's able to pull it off completely. He's amazing, so good, and also like he has to believably like throw you off the set, so you're surprised.
And it's big. It's a big surprise too.
Great, such a good movie. And I just saw right before we got on here. I hadn't seen it yet. I guess this came out yesterday or something. But
yeah, it came out Tuesday, I think.
Whatever. The trailer for the new one, which is just called Scream.
I don't like that. I don't like that either.
I hated it with Halloween a couple years ago, and I hate it with this. Like, first of all, it's clearly like not even like that. At least that that doesn't make any sense, that Halloween, because it's a direct sequel to another movie called Halloween. So it's like whatever. But from what I can tell, this movie's not ignoring the sequels. So
no, like most definitely not ignoring the sequels.
Yeah, they reference at least something from 2 in the trailer. I can't remember 3 and I that well, and I haven't seen 4. But regardless, it should just be called Scream 5. And I watched the trailer, and I have to say, it looks so fucking generic. I don't know what the response broadly has been. I'm sure probably lots of people have been like, I'm so excited. A lot of like horror fans, I'm sure, like jerking off to it or something. Sorry, I apologize. That was a gross thing to say. But as soon as I said it, I was like, but anyway, like, I just think it looks so generic, and there's not even a joke in it. It's like the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer. I mean, Scream is not Ghostbusters. It's not a straight up comedy, but like, it is funny. And that is that's part of it. And if there's no jokes in this trailer, or even like hints at like what's funny about it, like, then that just shows to me that you don't get what makes the first movie good. Because
who's writing it? Kevin's not writing this.
It's not Kevin Williamson writing, which
that's
obviously Wes isn't directing, R.I.P. But
R.I.P.
And I know the directors are. I haven't seen Ready or Not. I know people like that movie, and I that movie looked cool to me when it came out. I just never got around to it. Maybe that's a good movie, but I just Kevin Williamson hasn't written a good movie in a very long time. So I'm not saying that he needs to be the one writing it, but I do want somebody that gets the tone. I also just leave it alone. To me, the biggest thing is Scream 2 is improbably a very good movie.
It is.
But
because the twist works.
It kind of takes the premise as far as it can go without breaking. And I feel my problem with 3 was always that it goes too far in the other. It goes too far in the direction I'm talking about, where it just becomes a farce.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also pulling back on all those elements and just being we're going to make it scary again. It's that ignores what the first movie is. The first movie is a perfect balance of funny, self-aware, etc., meta, all that stuff, and pure great slasher. It's a perfect balance.
We have this multiple season TV series, that MTV Scream series.
Sure, never saw
that. And that I didn't either, but that to me is just teenagers. They're let's get a bunch of attractive young people and we just do scary things with them. And that's kind of what I get the vibe from this movie, is that's what it kind of looks like. And they are surviving Scream characters, which at this point I don't think they'll kill. It's hard to say. Now that Courtney and David aren't married anymore.
Well, I'm glad they obviously are cordial enough to work together.
Well, they have children, so they got to make it work for the kids.
Yeah, exactly. But and they were in shots together. It's not like it was some weird thing.
Right, but I do.
Were they ever on set? I don't know.
I like that they've made the characters divorced too. The characters aren't together anymore either. So that's I guess interesting.
I actually, I love those characters in the first movie, but I always thought the continued focus on them was always a mistake for the sequels. I always thought Sydney, bring her back, sure, she can be like Nancy in Nightmare 3, that kind of thing. She works as a returning character, but the thing I like most about Scream 2 is while, you get the returning characters, they're very much supporting to the new characters in that movie. But then by 3, it becomes so obsessed with its own mythology and all that stuff. And it's just I don't care about the mythology. Guess what? The mythology is that the 2 killers from the first one are dead, and so there's not really any extra lore. And the second one, again, takes it to the absolute extreme, where it's we made a movie based on this incident, and it's being treated like it's a slasher movie, And, Timothy Olyphant, the fucking legend, he's so funny in that movie. I need to rewatch 2, honestly. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh on the trailer. Maybe it'll be fun. But
who knows?
Also coming out in January, that's not
January, I know. I'm not excited for that new Halloween movie at all.
No, I
have no interest in that.
I'm going to see it because I've seen every Halloween movie. But
I liked that last one. I was fine with the last one, but this one looks I have no interest.
I don't love the last one. I have controversial takes on the last one. So.
I don't love that franchise as a whole either. So.
It's not a great franchise, obviously.
Most horror franchise aren't. So most of them aren't.
Oh, they're the nightmare. None of the slasher franchises are good. Halloween is the one that's most annoying because it's clearly the best movie. The first one is the best slasher movie, and dipshit horror fans that are actually this fucking direct-to-video crap from 1986 is better than Halloween. Fuck off. I love how I'm responding to people that definitely aren't listening to the show, but but I don't know. I kind of enjoy just the goofiness of how many timelines there are, and whatever. It doesn't look good at all. I was saying that I think that it's always a bad sign nowadays if a trailer has a trailer narrator, that,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously used to be stock, but now, like, if that happens now, you're like, the studio has no faith in this movie.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They're trying hard to sell you on it. But we'll see. We'll see. I will be seeing it, but it's like low on my this weekend is so stacked. It's low on my priority. Like,
because Last Duel is coming out this weekend.
Gotta see Last Duel. The Tinseltown's showing that documentary about the Thai cave rescue, which is supposed to be great. I'm gonna see that before I see Halloween Kills. And and that movie Lamb is coming to Erie, so I'll be seeing that too. So I will say the slightly diminished post-pandemic box office has been good for like Erie getting all the specialty releases. I haven't had to travel for a lot of it. I mean, I traveled for Card Counter. I guess I didn't have to because it came to Erie the next week. I mean, I'm glad I went. You know, it's always fun to make a road trip for a movie, but yeah, no. So I'm excited. Anyway,
all right. Now
let's talk about the other movie.
Yeah, the movie they're listening for. The only reason they're listening to this episode. The Many Saints of Newark.
Okay, can we let's establish a couple things. I've seen this movie 2 times in the theater. I haven't watched it on HBO Max. You watched it theatrically, or did you watch it on HBO? Yes,
theatrically. I wouldn't watch it any other way. I've only seen it once, though.
There's a respect to David Chase. Just show some respect. You know, I do honestly think there is a clear divide in people's feelings about this movie, from what I've read, between people who saw it in theaters and people who watched it on HBO Max. That does not mean I think it's some unimpeachable masterpiece or that it's like the best thing that David Chase has ever been involved in. It's not. But the way some people are so disappointed, nobody's angry. I don't think it's become a huge lightning rod, but I feel like there's been just a general air of this isn't what I wanted. To me, if you watch it on HBO Max, it shows me that you're the kind of person. This is very broad generalization, and I know it doesn't apply to everyone, so please don't come at me. You're the kind of person who heard, they're making a Sopranos movie. I want it to be all the parts of this movie that work the least, except Michael Gandolfini, and we'll get to him. He's amazing. But I think a lot of the complaints seem to be that it's not enough about the Sopranos characters, which to me, the things that hold this movie back from true greatness is that outside of Tony and Livia, I think you need basically none of the Sopranos characters in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not none, Junior too.
Junior's important. Junior's important.
Spoilers, by the way. Spoilers. Those 3 to me, you need them, and there's other characters that were meant like Johnny Boy is on The Sopranos in a flashback, but you know what I mean. I don't think the movie needs Still or Paulie or Pussy. I enjoy their scenes on as just a fan. I think those performances are pretty funny and
the Still performance is wild.
Well, John Magaro, who's the lead from David Chase's movie Not Fade Away. Who I love, and I love that movie. That's a better movie than this one. But my thing is, I think there's 2 things. One, I think if all that stuff is going to be included, then the movie should have been longer. And from what I gather, David Chase wanted the movie to be 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Because he thinks movies are too long. Most movies are too long, which is a great David Chase opinion, and I don't totally disagree with him. However, from what I gather, there is a ton of stuff that was shot for the movie that was cut. And I think that if this movie was 2.5 or even 3 hours long, a lot of the more Sopranos fan servicing stuff would sit a lot better. Whereas it feels a little out of nowhere. Because I think the main thrust of this movie, which is about Dickie Moltisanti, as played by Alessandro Nivola, fucking his mother-in-law, killing his father, and stealing his wife, is a great... I think that stuff is dynamite. And the stuff with Leslie Odom Jr. playing Harold, who is this black runner for Dickie's numbers business, striking out on his own. All that stuff is super interesting and super well executed. and if the movie's almost entire focus is on that plus the Tony stuff, I think the Tony stuff all works. It's miraculous. It was the stuff I was most nervous about, but to me, they nail the Tony stuff. And Olivia, by extension, Olivia,
and I want to shout to the young Tony, the kid that got to play the young Tony was he was fantastic,
like the little kid Tony,
yeah, fantastic.
And I will say, Michael Gandolfini, I don't think you can make any judgment about how good an actor he is in general off of this movie, but he nails it. And he looks, sounds, feels exactly like Tony, but it doesn't feel like I think he was like 20 when they shot this movie, but he's playing a teenager. It doesn't feel like a teenager imitating an old man. It feels like a legitimately the younger version of that same character. Old man, whatever. Late 30s or early 40s, whatever Tony is at the beginning of the series. But regardless, I went really big picture really quick, but in general, I really liked it, though, and on second viewing, I think it really coalesced for me more, although I do hope that maybe there will be a longer version
that would be fun
released at some point.
Here's the things that I like about this. Well, first off, now I feel like in the grand scheme of the show, I hate Junior even more than ever. Well,
I always love Junior, and I love him even more than ever. But those Sopranos, they got a knack for rubbing out those Moltisantis, don't they? Speaking of those Moltisantis, the opening of the movie. I've seen a lot of people whining about this. This is the most Sopranos touch to me. Like, this is such late period Sopranos, like weird, weirdo Sopranos shit.
Yeah, and this was such a surprise to me. I did not see this coming. And the way they shoot this graveyard, and you're hearing stories, you're hearing these voices, but then you don't, like, the way they have it shot, you don't see Christopher's headstone, and then it appears and you hear his voice.
As you hear him. And he's awesome. I mean, it reminded me a lot there. I'm going to refer to Not Fade Away frequently in this conversation. Okay, I know I don't think you've seen that movie.
No, I haven't.
It's on Hulu right now. I just checked.
Okay.
So you should check it out. But anyway, I feel like it's a similar device that he uses in that movie, which is a narrator who is the main character's sister in that movie. And the narration comes and goes seemingly kind of at random. Like, it's not like super present. It's just kind of like, you know what, I feel like the narrator can comment on this scene, and that's fine, which I don't have any problem with. So other people I've seen whine about that. I mean, my biggest thing is I do think this movie, and obviously Chase had significant creative control over it, obviously, but I think if he had directed it, some of the more... There's like some sequences that feel very TV. Just in terms, there's some sequences that are very cinematic, like when Dickie murders, both murder scenes with Dickie, when he murders his father, and then later when he murders, what I was going to say initially, when he murders his mistress, who was his father's...
His mother-in-law.
Both those scenes are incredibly cinematic and really interesting. So I don't want to diss Alan Taylor too hard. He did direct a lot of great Sopranos episodes. He directed the Mad Men pilot. He's a great director in his own way. But if you look at the two episodes that Chase directed of The Sopranos, the pilot and especially the finale, and then if you look at Not Fade Away, he just has a more... I think he would have brought a more... interesting eye to each scene. He's only ever said that he didn't direct the movie for some personal reasons. I don't know if that's like some sort of health thing or whatever. I don't need to pry into that, but I do wish he directed it. But obviously he supervised the editing, and he's the main creative voice, so I feel like it's fair to... When I say Chase did this, I know he co-wrote the movie with Lawrence Conner, and I know Alan Taylor directed it, so everybody, the people that love to like get mad at auteurism. Do we have anti-auteurists listening to our show? I don't know. Like, I don't know why I'm speaking to all these dumb, like, film world controversies. Okay. I just find that I still just like, he is a great artist, and I just feel like even something that is like slightly below his standard is going to be interesting. But I really do think, let's talk about what are the things in this movie that really worked for you. I don't want to be too, because I don't want to sound too negative. I would give this movie like 4 out of 5. I think it's a really
I really wanted to give this movie 5 stars, but I'm like, no, it's not 5 stars, but I will give it 4.5 because I still really enjoyed this.
It's really good.
I liked pointing out, finding all the parallels between Dickie and Tony, and you take that into the grander scheme of the whole family, and because Dickie is the guy that Tony looks up to, so it's kind of how he models himself. But
was such a good line when Dickie was in young Tony's bedroom, and he was reading the comic, the Ivanhoe comic, and he mentioned Jews. And he's just like, I didn't know they had Jews in the Middle Ages. Is the most classic Sopranos line, like such a dipshit line.
The kid, he's so perfect as Tony. He goes,
he's just like
the Bible. Yeah, it's so funny. It really stands out to me. And he's talking about Robin Hood in that scene, and then you have the scene later in the movie where teenage Tony steals the ice cream truck and then is giving ice cream to the children.
What's amazing? Sure. I think what's amazing about and then there was that next scene where I think it was I don't know. I don't think it was Dickie. I think it was Johnny Soprano says who among us didn't beat up the Mr. Softy Man order? There's some shit like that. I was laughing so hard.
And there's because after Dickie kills his father, he starts to go visit his uncle who's in prison.
This is the best thing about the movie.
I agree, because Ray Liotta, he has Dickie's
father. Completely different performances.
He's the biggest scumbag imaginable.
It's hilarious.
He goes out of his way to be such a scumbag, but that performance of the uncle is incredible.
Well, because if those of you who are just listening to this and are like, we don't care if they're getting spoiled, Ray Liotta plays the main character's father in this movie, and then the main character, Dickie Moltisanti, murders him, and then he winds up going to visit his uncle, who turns out to be his father's twin brother, played by Ray Liotta also. So Ray Liotta performs 2 characters in this movie. Yeah. And these are completely different performances. And both great. Just amazing.
Yeah, and his character sort of parallels Dr. Melfi in the fact that Dickie comes to him, to kind of talk about his life and sort of seek advice from him. And the performance is great. And then also, too, I love the guidance counselor scene.
That scene is amazing.
Incredible.
I was blown away. Both. Well, first of all, that's going to, to me, that's something... Because that's the biggest lost opportunity of the show, is because Nancy Marchand died. They didn't get to whatever they were going to do to complete that relationship between Tony and his mother. Had to be abandoned. And while this isn't the same thing, I think giving us that scene, I think was really it really helps. Contextualize Livia in an interesting way, because it's not it doesn't make her into a more cuddly character. It makes her more human. You understand who she is more, and she's maybe less monstrous. Because she's kind of a caricature in the first season. I love her, but it's but I was I understand how this person turned out this way. And there's in the book, The Sopranos Sessions, by Alan Sepinwall and Matt Zoller-Seitz, which is really good. And if you like The Sopranos, you should get it. It has a 200-page interview with David Chase in it, where they go through every season. It's incredible. They start off and they ask about his mother, David Chase's mother. And, because Chase famously sort of based the character on his own mother, the Livia character. And Chase kind of talks about it in that, because this book's from 2 or 3 years ago now. And he says that, even since he started The Sopranos, that he feels he has a better understanding
what his mother was going through, because obviously his mother didn't try to murder him or anything, but like, you know, a lot of her like kind of mannerisms and behavior and like kind of were modeled on David Chase's mom. And he was saying, he was talking about, he if you read interviews with him from the time, he kind of just talks about it very flatly, like just like, yeah, she acted like that, you know, whatever. Whereas if this interview from a couple of years ago, he's much more reflective and kind of talks about how he understands kind of where she, like what in her life led to that, you know, that she was clearly very depressed and like just that wasn't something that she was allowed to really express and all that stuff. And that's what this whole character is in this movie. Like, so it almost feels like not a corrective, because I think they would have gotten there with the show had Nancy Marchand lived. But I do think it's nice to have that again, and they do it in a way where it's like she's still not like a good. It doesn't make it like, oh, she's a good person who fell or whatever. It's the same as Tony. Like, where it's like, you get Tony. I understand everything about Tony. Tony is not, I don't think of Tony as a monster. I just think of Tony as a very bad person. You know what I mean? Like that, which there's a difference. He's not just this inhuman character who's like to me, Walter White, by the end of Breaking Bad, is a monstrous character, and I think very intentionally. He's kind of treated as like this boogeyman figure, and that show's a lot pulpier than The Sopranos, and this isn't like Disney Breaking Bad. I love Breaking Bad. But it's like, but I think there is like like that's, I think a lot of people, obviously like Tony engages in monstrous behavior, but to me, like what The Sopranos, the ultimately most chilling thing about The Sopranos by the end is that Tony is, you fully understand him and you know him. And you're like, you know what? I recognize people I know in him. I recognize myself in him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hopefully nobody you know is a murderer. Hopefully you're not a murderer. but all that stuff. And it's like, basically the idea that it's this like, this is a person who just acts on every impulse and is evil, has made choices. He made choices to act on those impulses. You understand where the impulses come from. You understand the upbringing and all that stuff, and then you can be sympathetic towards that. But it's not an excuse, basically. And that he's an evil person. He chose wrong. He chose the wrong path in most parts of his life. So it's like. And to me, that's the same thing with Nancy, with Livia on a smaller scale in this movie, where it's like you now understand where she's coming from, and you get it, and you're like, okay, well, maybe if things had been different, it would have been okay. But like when her son reaches out to her to be like, you might need some help, she rejects it, and not in like not just because that's not the culture of the time. She's like embarrassed that her son asked about that. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, you know, and that's all very understandable, like, especially given the context of the time the movie's set. But it's like, I also like, I don't know. Yeah. The movie is like a lot. And I think Chase and his collaborators are trying to accomplish a lot in the movie. We haven't even gotten into the Newark riots and stuff, which I think are also a really interesting part of this movie. And like Sopranos never really, only kind of glanced at race in New Jersey in the show. I think never like in a never in a like full way, really.
No.
I don't think in a bad way. I don't think it was like a terrible treatment of it in the show, but it just wasn't the focus. But I know he's been talking about how that was something he wanted to do on the show since the end of the show. Like, this isn't like a new interest of his. I think that stuff is really interesting. I think the Leslie Odom performance is great. I think there's like, but like in general, this is why I want a longer cut, because I feel like I've heard, and it doesn't feel like any one element of the movie got cut down more than any other. It sounds like everything just like they just cut major stuff from each subplot, and I'm just like, I kind of just think you should put it all back in. Like, let's get the sprawling.
Let's get the big cut of it.
Like I
agree,
and like that's not a shot at. But I honestly think if you made a long, I get I really do appreciate David Chase and his And by the way, I bet HBO Max would love to put out an extended cut.
They would.
They'd get another press cycle out of it. So, but I do think it's an admirable thing. But like the movie they wrote, just I think needs to be a longer movie.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my main issue with it. Otherwise, I really liked it.
I really like this movie too. There's a few other things I want to add.
Sure.
The movie Tony is watching the day his dad comes home from prison is the 48 movie Key Largo, which Tony has a poster for in his movie theater on the show. Fun. Whenever he builds the movie theater that he ends up living in, he has a Key Largo poster there, which I always laugh at because Mel and I saw Key Largo before we saw The Sopranos. Key Largo, great, by the way.
John Huston, the fucking Lord of Lords.
The Lord of Lords. And near us where we are, we have a housing development called Key Largo. And for whatever reason, we have a parody of what is that? What is that actual song that?
No, I think it's just called Key Largo.
It's not Key Largo.
I don't even know what the real song is.
Oh, we'll go down. I don't know what the real song either is, but Key Largo, ooh, I wanna take you to Key Largo, Key Largo.
That's
pretty mama. Kokomo.
That's Kokomo by the terrible 80s Beach Boys. What? Oh, okay.
so
I'm not going to chastise you for not knowing that because that song is horrible and a disgrace. And fuck Mike Love. Mike Love, the fucking greatest villain in rock and roll history. But continue.
All right, I like that. What was the? So Christopher in the show says multiple times in the show, I'm going to hell. Because the things my Uncle Tony made me do. And at the end of the movie, he goes, that's my Uncle Tony, the man I went to hell for. Christopher confirming that he is in hell.
I love that. I also, we got a good Christopher joke when he said, the 60s ended, Neil Young gave his speech from the moon. A great Christopher line. Neil Young gave his speech from the moon. Delightful. I love dummy soprano lines. There were Jews in the Middle Ages is the best one in this movie.
Yeah, it really is.
At all time.
The Bible?
All time funny. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I loved it. I do think what my concerns I expressed a couple weeks ago when I said that it feels like this is a movie that David Chase wouldn't be making if he could get another project off the ground. I think are founded. I think that's what it feels like. I think it's clear that he's interested in the Dickie stuff. He's interested in the Newark stuff. And I think he was interested in the young Tony. I think he got himself interested in the young Tony stuff. But there's other stuff that is related to The Sopranos that I feel like it feels pretty obligatory in this movie. Even though I enjoy it, and again, I like the individual performances. I think they're funny, with John Magaro as Syl and all that stuff. But and I love that scene. I don't love the scene. I shouldn't say I love the scene where they torture the guy with the drill or whatever. But when when it's revealed, when his hairpiece falls off is very funny.
It is very funny. And the thing about Syl too is because towards the end you find out Dickie's uncle is you should stay away from your nephew, and this is something that Dickie is he's yeah, maybe I should, but it's actually Silvio who's the one who's just hey, you're the best shot this kid has, and then he never actually gets to have that moment with
nice
Tony
because Syl becomes Tony's consigliere. So.
Yeah, Syl was I always viewed him as Tony's kind of right hand guy. It's really kind of Silvio who's the one who kind of takes him up,
and Syl takes the bullet for him, basically.
Yep. He does. He does take the bullet for him.
Syl's not dead at the end of the show, but...
Oh,
Jesus.
My God.
Okay.
So is that... There was one other thing that I had just thought about, and I totally lost it. Now I'm devastated that I've lost it, because there's so much to talk about with this movie.
I mean, that's the thing. To me, it's a success because, it just gets me... when I rewatch The Sopranos, it's gonna make it more rich. It's not gonna. It's not gonna. it's not essential. It didn't have to happen, of course, but it does nothing but make the show more interesting.
The girl they got to play teenage Janice was
She was great.
phenomenal.
Great.
I bought her as Janice the entire time,
She was great.
and I'm glad that they didn't overdo it. They didn't push Tony B in there, because there's no way you could cast young Steve Buscemi, but Tony B got a reference because that's how Olivia found out about Tony taking the ice cream truck, because he told Tony B told Janice told Olivia. Perfect.
I'm happy they made it. I saw that Chase just signed an overall deal with HBO.
All right.
So my hope is that they finally make his early Hollywood miniseries, Ribbon of Dreams, which he's been trying to make for a decade, which is about the early days of Hollywood, like in the 1910s and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the fact that HBO didn't just give that an automatic green light 10 years ago, like, this is the guy that built your fucking network. Like,
right.
It's embarrassing, but whatever. Hopefully he gets to make that. But anyway, we should probably move on. I think
we've talked for an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh, God. When, actually, this is actually gonna be a problem. I didn't realize we'd talk that long.
Oh no!
Okay, listeners. Listeners, hello.
I have no idea where you're going with this.
Okay, so I have plans this evening. I mentioned it, I think.
Yeah.
Did we talk about it at the top of the show?
I don't know if we talked about it at the top of the show. I asked you what movie you're going to see. You did tell us you're going to the movies tonight.
Yes. So, and we're recording. It is now after 5 o'clock.
Okay, your movie's at 7. So you got to be at least out of here by 6. Now, if the episode doesn't drop, you'll get it up tomorrow whenever you can.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I don't care.
Okay, because I don't want to delay the episode. All right.
And a big bulk of this book too is a big fight scene. So
That's
like,
true. That's true.
It's well written. It's great fight scene, incredible stuff. But we don't have to go into beat by beat.
All right.
So.
All right. Well, we'll talk more after the break. Stay tuned, everybody. Welcome back to Padawan Library. I'm Tim May, here as always with Levi Peretic.
How's it going?
So, good. This week, we're talking...
I was talking to the listeners, not you, but...
Oh, whatever. This week, we're talking Clone Wars Secret Missions number 3, Duel at Shattered Rock by Ryder Wyndham. And we've been enjoying this series so far.
Mm-hmm.
We left off last week with with our hero Nuru and breakout squad of clones
escaped. Helped the Black Hole Pirates.
Yeah, and
the cursed Black Hole Pirates.
They've escaped Chiss space, and it was revealed that what's his name? The one guy.
Oh, the one clone trooper?
Yeah, what's his fucking name?
Sharp.
Sharp.
Because we have 2 Sharps currently.
Right.
We have the Sharp who is currently with Master Ombase, who is Nuru's master. But then we also have the Sharp who's with the Breakout Squad, who is kind of acting suspiciously.
So it's
who is the real Sharp?
We don't know. So yeah, and remember they're on this ship, the Hasty Harpy, and they're on their way back to Coruscant. So we get a lot of time here again with the characters. Like, this is a similar thing to last week. It wasn't not quite as long, but like we
get a lot of time with those characters. We also get a lot of time with Dooku this time around.
No,
and
that's
we also
true.
Get some time with Master Ombase. the whole they're heading towards Coruscant whenever they get a transmission from Master Yoda and Sheev himself, and they reveal that whatever. Let me figure out the planet that they. In the first planet, we were on Kainachi, which was under the Separatist rule for 10 years. The Techno Union had occupied the planet for 10 years. They had freed them, so now Kainachi has a representative coming to Coruscant. And they want to join the Republic. They want to join the Republic's cause. Well, Sheev, of course, has other plans for this, but basically he has asked the Breakout Squad and Nuru to meet them at this refueling depot at Vaste is where they're going to meet.
Or Vacid, maybe.
Vacid, and they're going to meet up with these representatives from Kainachi and then further escort them to Coruscant because they're afraid, they may be in trouble. And this, of course, they are in trouble because Sheev has been working with Dooku, and they're planting all sorts of seeds. We got an assassin who is a member of Death Watch. Who is hired by Dooku, and his name is Hoodoo Shiv.
Yes.
Yes.
I big fan of the Death Watch episodes of Clone Wars.
Yeah, they're good.
They're really good.
I like those too. Favreau also a big fan of that.
Well, yeah, I imagine he'd be a big fan. Yeah.
He is. So I mean, he is pre-Vizsla, but he is carrying that into Mandalorian. Because they call it the Watch now. They don't call it Death Watch apparently. And also, you know how Favreau played a very kind of chunky Mandalorian in season 1?
Yeah.
That character's name is Pax Vizsla, so he is a member of the Vizsla family.
That's fun. Well, that's a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
So, Hoodoo Shiv is a character.
Yes,
I read this book a few days ago because I actually, for once, did my homework ahead of time, and now it's biting me in the ass. I got the plot summary pulled up here on Wikipedia. I feel like a complete failure as a podcast host. I was like, I got so many Saints takes. I'm gonna talk about the Scream 5 trailer for 5 minutes and. What a disaster. Okay. Just trying to jog my memory here. You just read this book, so.
I did just read this book. So anyway, so Master on Base, in the general story, Master on Base, he escapes the clutches of Dooku, seemingly because he believes the planet they're on is under attack by Republic forces, and him and Sharp, they get in a transport and they get out of there. But they think the whole facility is under attack by the Republic. But Dooku is also fed on base some stuff. Well, that Sith Lord, he might be turning apprentices at the council, and I mean at the temple. So on base, his head's all confused because is Nuru doing this? And he also tells them that Nuru has taken some asteroid. I have this written down here. The Bilberengi Depot, which at the beginning of the book is ruled by Drixo the Hutt, and it is taken by force by one sole person, of course, Cad Bane. Cad Bane kills everybody there, including Drixo the Hutt. So Cad Bane just being a consistent badass within this series here.
Yes.
So Dooku tells on base that, Nuru did that, so we think that's where Nuru's heading. And then Count Dooku, when he meets with Shiv, is that his name? Shiv, yes. The bounty hunter?
Hoodoo Shiv, yes.
Hoodoo Shiv. He gives Hoodoo on base's belt with his fanny packs attached to it. And inside, Dooku put an image projector that showed the Berberini system, or whatever it is. I don't have it in front of me. That's why I don't know that. I can't pronounce it. Not that I pronounce anything right on this show usually.
It's fine.
Anyway,
these aren't real things, so you don't need to.
These aren't real things. You're right. So basically, you could tell that Sheev and actually, there's a part here where Dooku's talking to Sheev. And he says, "All is proceeding as you have foreseen," Dooku said with admiration. "Republic forces have liberated the planet Kainachi and established tentative diplomatic relations with Chiss space. The Bilberini Depot is ours, and the once neutral Kainachi intends to ally with the Republic." So I'm not sure what Sheev's whole scheme here is, but it does feel like he's turning master against apprentice, and that we're going to have a face-off between master and apprentice in the fourth book.
Yes, it does feel that way. Have we talked about Jizz yet?
I was going to call him Giz. I didn't want to make the Jizz joke, but I'm glad you did.
Is it Giz or is it Jizz? I don't know. Like, what do you say? Like, that's the eternal internet debate, right? You know?
It is. Is it Giz or Jizz?
It's like if you say it is a G, it's got to be Giz. If it was not, it would be a J. Like it would be like, you know, do you think Jif peanut butter is whatever? I'm trying to remember all the dumb arguments from 5 years ago. All right. He was like he's this mysterious kind of shadow figure. On a speeder bike.
They call him a giant. He's the big orange man.
And it turns out to be that. This speeder bike guy attacks him, and he turns out to be Jizz. His name is Giz. His name is Giz. I apologize. Because of the Star Wars history with the word Jizz, I just can't,
You can't help it.
I can't help it. All right. So they're heading towards the titular Shattered Rock Canyon.
Well, hang on.
I skipped over a bunch of shit, didn't I? I'm sorry.
Breakout Squad gets to the depot where they're supposed to meet the representatives from Kainachi. They have an hour. They're trying to find a transmitter on the Harpy because they suspect that there is a traitor amongst them. They're trying to figure it out who it is, but the one, of course, who's acting most suspiciously is Sharp, and we know
Sharp. Volunteers to like. He volunteers for a bunch of stuff, and Nuru's like.
And he also keeps saying, "Well, I'm Sharp because I got good eyesight," and they're like, "We know, we were there," like, you know, all the other clones. And I think Sharp is also. They mentioned one of the clones sleeps with their helmets on, and I think it's Sharp. I can't remember who. I should go back and read it, but I think it's Sharp who's been the one sleeping with his helmet on. Also, Lalo and Chatterbox here have some great dialogue exchanges because basically every time Chatterbox speaks, she tells him to shut up, which I think is like really funny. And there's. Okay, and we'll get
so
to the
much
get to
tension.
that at the end. I love that scene we're going to talk about later. So anyway, the Death Watch bounty hunter, he also shows up. He's a sniper, and when the representative from Kainachi shows up, he assassinates them, which then triggers this whole big action scene where Nuru is going after the assassin. The assassin has incapacitated. Is it Knuckles?
Yeah,
it's not Knuckles.
No, it's what's his name?
It's Breaker.
Breaker. Yes.
Breaker. Yeah, he's incapacitated Breaker, and then.
Do you think like Breaker feels like he's like the leader because his name is sort of similar to the name of their squad, Breakout Squad?
Maybe.
Yeah, does he obey the same rules we do when we pick movies to discuss on this show? It's dumb. I'm sorry. I feel bad for the listeners. We talked for an hour about a bunch of other shit, and this is going to be over within 10 minutes probably.
It's okay. It's all right.
I feel like we fucked up. We
We did fuck up. I mean, we both have movies that we have to. I mean, we didn't talk about this on air, but I kind of got forced into it. Kind of. Let's talk
about the book.
But I'm screening a movie tonight here at the campground. It's RV starring Robin Williams. Never
Directed by
actually
Barry
seen it before,
Sonnenfeld.
but I felt it was fitting for the park.
Well, you're the programmer for.
I am the programmer. We're doing Young Frankenstein next week for
a real
Halloween.
movie.
And then I'm going to do Ernest Scared Stupid for Halloween weekend.
Disgusting.
So
you know how I feel about that. But continue.
well, what the first time we were here in 2019, I played Ernest Saves Christmas, and it killed with the lady who is now my boss. I thought she would hate it, and she cackled. So that's why I'm doing Ernest Scared Stupid. But anyway, they go after the bounty hunter. There's a swoop gang. They kind of have a tussle. They don't have a tussle with them. Nuru mind tricks the whole biker gang, and they also, this book definitely goes out of its way to tell us the difference between a swoop and a speeder bike. Again, there's a difference, people.
It really matters.
It really matters. If you don't know, you better look it up, because we're not telling you.
Because guess what? We're for hardcore fans only. No casuals on this podcast.
Zero casuals. Oh, you don't know the difference between a speeder bike and a swoop?
We talk exclusively about the deepest Star Wars nerd shit, and if you don't appreciate that, then you suck. I don't know. I'm just assuming this is what people in those 4-hour YouTube videos that get fed to me start talking about all the time.
Okay, so when Nuru goes to pursue the bounty hunter, he hops on one of the swoops.
Yes.
This pisses off the swoop gang, and he ends up getting chased by the big Mr. Man on the swoop bike. He actually gets chased by the whole gang, and then the bounty hunter, he throws off a thermal detonator, knocks out the whole gang. The big giant guy, Giz, his bike gets destroyed. So now Giz has a vendetta against the bounty hunter. So Nuru, he hops on a speeder bike, and then Giz hops on the back of the speeder bike, and Giz is so much bigger than Nuru that he just reaches over Nuru and takes the controls of the swoop. And there's a big chase going on, Nuru is basically just impaled into the chest of this large man, who I picture as being just like a 400 to 500 pound pig man. That's how I picture this character.
Like a Gamorrean kind of.
Yes, except orange. That's how I picture him. I'm sure they say his species. Oh, they say he's a hybrid of some sort of what Nuru suspects, that he is 2 species in one. Anyway, so Jiz goes after the bounty hunter. There's a whole big fight. We have a lot of the point of view of Shiv, he's never encountered a Jedi before, so he's kind of leery about that. But anyway, this all culminates in them. They're chasing him. He's on a jetpack. They're chasing him in the is it the Happy Harper? The Happy Harpy?
Hasty Harpy.
Hasty Harpy. And he shoots it down with the missile on his jetpack. And meanwhile, Laylo, because Nuru, he wants to interrogate the guy to figure out what he knows, and Laylo, she's pissed about her ship going down, so she blows up his ship. They presumably think they killed a bounty hunter. That's not the case. The bounty hunter does escape from this, and wonders if he'll encounter Nuru again, because he would like to have that opportunity.
So
the diplomats are dead. The Harpy is destroyed. Nuru gets this utility belt of his master and has a location, the depot, Berberini Depot. And he's like, we're not contacting Coruscant. We're going to take the diplomat ship. We'll put the diplomats in there. We'll deliver them back to their home. But first we have to go to this depot. And Laylo is just like, man, that's probably a trap. And Chatterbox, he says, no, it's no way, it's a trap. And basically Laylo is like, you know what? I helped you guys, got me off Kainachi. I took you to Chiss Space. Now my ship's destroyed. I'm out of here, guys. So there's a part here.
Yes.
All right. There's a part here on 132. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see.
At the bottom of 132. Okay.
Let me read. You do Chatterbox. I'll be gone.
All right.
Halo Gunn is the captain.
Okay.
You're assuming you'll ever return to Coruscant, Gunn interrupted. What good is your promise if you go to whatever that word is, Bilbringi, and you get yourself and everyone else killed?
That's enough, Lalo, Chatterbox said. Everyone looked at Chatterbox. He had never addressed Gunn by her first name before.
Sorry, Nuru, Gunn said quietly. I trust your promise is good. Then she stepped up close to Chatterbox, looked him straight in the eye, and said, I'd ask you to stay with me, but I already know your answer. So long, Chatterbox. She turned and started to move away.
Chatterbox grabbed Gunn's arm and pulled her back to him. He kissed her. She kissed him back. Knuckles checked his rifle. Breaker looked up to the sky. Sharp lowered his head and stared at his boots. Nuru fidgeted with the image caster. Cleaver walked over from the wreckage and said, the fires are all out.
Not from where I'm standing, Gunn said as she drew away from Chatterbox. She reached up, tapped his lips, and said, be careful with that mouth of yours. She glanced at the other members of Breakout Squad and said, bye, boys. Stunning.
This is like, we've had very few romances on the show. One romance being of Servants of the Empire, fantastic teenage sort of romance.
Most of the earliest energy on this show was me wishing for romance.
Yeah, I know.
Like, they want to fuck.
And none of them have been this steamy and sort of like...
Well, these are adults.
They're adults.
Well,
and
I guess, I don't know. What do you count the clones? I don't know.
The clones are probably only like 5 years old, technically. But like, this has so much steam to it. Like, there is so much to imagine that's going, like, because they're always alone in the cockpit. You know, what is going on in that cockpit, my dude? So I really hope this isn't the end of Lalo.
She says she's going to call an old friend for a lift. Mm-hmm. And the troopers, along with Jizz and Cleaver, they take the Kainachi's ambassador ship and leave.
Yeah, they take Jizz with them because, when Jizz finds out Nuru's like a Jedi, he goes, whoa, I was nowhere near that bank that one day. Like, Nuru's like, I'm not after you. And then when they bring Jizz back, they speak to like the sheriff character, and the sheriff character's like, I'm going to make sure he's in prison for life. And Nuru, he's like, you know what? I don't think Jizz has had a fair hand at life. I'm going to give him a second chance, so that's why they bring him along. So we'll see in the fourth and final book.
There's a couple more notes we got to get to here at the end.
This is actually the part of the book because I had 20 pages left. I've had a crazy day at work, and I could not finish the book.
It's fine. It's fine.
So you got to wrap this up for me.
We're gonna walk through these. So, there's some stuff with General M-Base, and oh man, you missed a lot actually. Now that
I figured I did, because I figured we're gonna get M-Base, and then we're gonna get some Dooku and Sheev. I may actually I may finish this book because
you should finish it. Yeah. All right. So after they leave, they meet back up with. Well, remember Vereen from last week, who
yes.
They talk to her, and it's revealed that she is the one who put the transmitter on the Harpy.
Ooh.
So,
didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, I know.
I'm genuinely
crazy.
Surprised by that.
And she says she wanted to follow him across space. She notices the Captain Gunn's not with them anymore. And she says, I followed you because I am compelled to tell you something of great importance. Nuru waits. Yes? An analysis of several events, including the separatist attack on Chiss Expansionary Defense Force Station Ifpia, has determined a high probability that you are an unwitting accomplice to an unknown individual or group whose goal is galactic domination. So, the Chiss, they're smart strategists. They're like, they can see through Sheev's master plan, you know? So, and Nuru thinks the Sith. She must be talking about the Sith. And he invites her to come back to Coruscant. She's like, no, you can't tell anybody about our conversation. Chiss Ascendancy is unaware of my suspicions. And so yeah, she's like, don't tell anybody. You'll risk my life as well as yours. So, and she leaves. So that's that. And then let's see, Master Ambase. He also has some stuff here at the end. I'm
so sorry, listeners.
This is a disaster. This is among the worst episodes we've ever done, I would say.
Well, the worst part, we hyped it real hard too, you know.
The Many Saints discussion was good.
It was good. It was good.
All right, that's what we hyped. We didn't hype this part. All right, so the Corona, the ship that he's on, and they're headed to the depot, and it's being scanned, but the ship that's scanning them is not appearing on their sensors. It's not a Republic ship, etc. Corona's cannon fired straight at the glowing ship. Ambase had assumed the bizarre ship was heavily shielded. He was genuinely startled to see the single volley of laser fire cause the ship to explode in a brilliant burst of light. And this was, of course, Nuru's ship, the ship that Nuru and the troopers, etc., are all on. It doesn't destroy them. They destroyed Viren's ship. Viren's ship, that's what it was. I'm remembering this. Viren's ship was destroyed by this blast from the Corona, which is the ship that Ambase was on. And that's right in front of Nuru's ship. He's upset about it. Master Ambase feels Nuru's anguish in the Force, and now he's like, maybe Dooku was right. Maybe Nuru is going to turn against me. So kinds of stuff.
There's also another moment too where Nuru has been frustrated by the bounty hunter and he wants to question the bounty hunter, but then when the bounty hunter shoots down the harpy, he's like, well, maybe I should have just let Laylo kill him. And then there's a moment where he's like, he feels something dark. So it's kind of like a little brush with the dark side there. Anyway, continue.
All right, so let's see, the troopers, and so they land at the docking bay, and Nuru is still obviously very distraught because of Marine's ship. He realizes that she's dead. So he realizes that his master was the one commanding that ship, and this is obviously fucking him up. And then a droid attacks the troopers, shoots one of them in the back.
Which one?
It says one. I'm sorry. This is a disaster. I am sorry. I apologize. There's a reason I read these the day of, because apparently they slip right out of my fucking mind.
Apparently they just jump right out of your mind here.
All right, so yeah, take that. Take that. Well, you didn't read this part.
I didn't read it. And when you said one of the breakout squad is basically...
It's not the breakout squad. It's not the breakout squad.
Okay.
Take that, Republic dogs, the droid says as he shot one trooper in the back. The trooper collapsed, his armored body clattering against the deck. The other troopers and Cleaver spun fast and were about to return fire when they saw Nuru was already racing straight for the droid, swinging his lightsaber back and forth to deflect the fired energy bolts away from his ally. The droid cried, "Oh no." Nuru's blade swept through the droid's neck and torso. The droid's parts fell apart. So here it is. Here's the reveal. Okay. Here's the reveal. It's Chatterbox. Chatterbox, can you hear me? It was Breaker's voice. Chatterbox groaned. Get his helmet off, said Breaker, as he carefully rolled Chatterbox over, elevating his shoulders and head, while Knuckles plucked an emergency medkit from his belt. Sharp removed Chatterbox's helmet, grimacing. Chatterbox gasped out, "I think it's bad." Just then, Jizz returned to the docking bay. He was carrying a sack that he had stuffed with food rations and was chewing on a large stick of Nerf jerky. Seeing the group huddled around the fallen trooper, he said, "Did I miss something?" Ignoring Jizz, Nuru said, "Sharp and Breaker, sweep the area. Make sure there aren't any more battle droids." Nuru returned his attention to helping Chatterbox. Breaker and Sharp left the others, running past Jizz to the maintenance hatch. Breaker said, "I'll take the hatch. You search the outer corridor." Breaker entered the hatch. Sharp proceeded to the corridor that lay beyond the docking bay. The corridor was empty. Keeping his rifle in front of him, he kept moving until he found a metal door for a storage room. He kicked the door open and jumped in, ready to shoot even a simple cleaning droid. The storage room was also empty. Sharp glanced back into the corridor, then stepped into the room and shut the door behind him. Leaning against the door, he removed his helmet and took a series of deep breaths. As he breathed, his facial muscles shifted. His smooth, pale skin changed to a dusky, grayish green. He squeezed his eyes shut, and when he opened them again, they were yellow and reptilian.
What?
He thought of what might have happened to him if he had been shot, and the members of Breakout Squad had removed his helmet to see his true face. He shuddered. He knew that now was hardly the time to relax. He still had work to do. The clawdite shapeshifter took another deep breath, pulled on his helmet, and then made his way back to the clone troopers.
Wow.
What a snake.
I am shook by that.
And so the final moment in this book is that we cut back to Lalo Gunn.
Okay.
Who, she doesn't know what happened to Chatterbox yet, but we find out that she's at the Vassid spaceport, and she said, I'll get a ride with a friend. Can you guess who the friend is?
No, I have no idea who the friend is.
Friend turns out to be... Let me read this last bit for you.
Okay, then.
Just the last paragraph here. This reveals who the friend is. "It's about time you got here," Gunn said as the newcomer sat down beside her. "When you hired me on Kainachi, I didn't bargain losing the Harpy. You said there'd be a big reward for me if I got Breakout Squad to Vassid. I expect to be well paid." "You needn't worry about your reward," Cad Bane said with a smile that bared his sharp teeth. Just reveal after reveal.
I thought this book was over. I had 20 pages left. There is nothing happening in this 20
So
pages.
much.
And these 20 pages, it's the most exciting parts of the book. The fact that you telling me these things, I was genuinely on the edge of my seat.
What can I say? I'm a great
twist
story.
after twist. Yeah. But there's so many twists at the end of this book. I'm blown away by how many twists there are at the end of this thing.
So crazy stuff.
It's another 8 or 9. It's another high one.
I'd go with a 9. I think this is the best one so far. Sorry that I was so out of the fucking game. I woke up at midnight.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if that's been
You get
clear.
a 2-hour movie to stay up through.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to suck it up and drink coffee, which I hate.
I hate coffee too.
But it's the only thing that actually will help me stay awake. I can't just drink soda, even though it has caffeine.
Yeah,
It just doesn't
it's
work.
not enough caffeine.
It's too much sugar too, so it's
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, wow.
Anyway,
I'm blown away. I'm shook. And next week
we're taking a break from this,
Mhm.
and the episode will be out on Saturday, just so everyone knows. So we're not doing a Friday release next week to accommodate our guest. Our friend Franco Smile is returning.
Mm-hmm.
Discuss The Mighty Chewbacca in the Forest of Fear by Tom Aldenberger. Is that his name?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah,
So
very
it's
close.
close to that. If it's not, I apologize. The guy that wrote the Origami Yoda book, but this one takes place in the Star Wars universe, so maybe Franco and his kid will enjoy it more.
This 270-page book.
Yeah, I know. I hope they got started already.
I hope they did too.
I haven't started it, but so we're talking about that book, but we'll also be reviewing Fritz Lang's Ministry of Fear, which is not currently streaming anywhere. Just take our word for it that we watch it.
Yes, Franco did find it on archive.org.
Yeah, which, you can find it. It's actually a Criterion print of it, so somebody must have ripped it from Criterion Channel or something.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So, we got that, and I'm sure we're going to have many digressions about cinema, the state of cinema. We'll talk about it all. It's going to be another long, discursive episode. I'm looking forward to it. This weekend, I'm going to see The Last Duel. I'm really excited for The Last Duel. I love Ridley.
I know you do. He's bringing a 1-2 punch in the next couple of months. So
I've seen the House of Gucci trailer in front of every movie I've seen the last week. I've seen the House of Gucci trailer and the Licorice Pizza trailer, and I'm just like, cinema's back, baby! These movies, I love movies. One of those movies I'm very confident will be good, and one I'm confident I will be entertained by at least. I'm not. I could quote the House of Gucci trailer verbatim at this point. All
right. What's that bit where she's tapping the spoon on the tea glass?
I don't think I'm a very ethical person, but I am fair. or how about I've been a Gucci all my life. One of my favorite lines. I have been a Gucci all my life. I'm like, yeah, I would think if you're family. Oh, I love it. I love they're all just doing the goofiest Italian accents possible. They're all like Mario and shit. They're all like, Chris Pratt, take notes.
Yeah, Pratt, really take notes. Frickin' Leto looks like he's Bob Hoskins as Mario.
Looks insane. You know who would have played that part, 20 years ago was probably like Bob Hoskins. A guy that actually looks like that, not just some weirdo freak that wants to make himself look like a maniac. It looks like a crazy. Pacino, can't wait for Pacino. And Jeremy Irons, Jesus fuck. That cast is crazy. And then, so I'm very excited. I assume that'll be in front of The Last Duel as well. It'll be a great Ridley, I'll just be like, oh, Ridley going
you're gonna be
off.
Like, ooh, uh-huh.
It'll have some part of class.
Yeah.
Oh, one final thing, and then I do need to get ready for this movie because I have to get a shower. But I got the 60s Batmobile.
The Lego Batmobile, nice.
It was on clearance at the Walmart I was at,
wow,
so I got it for
$20.
I got it for $20. It's probably not clear. I would guess it's only in clearance in some Walmarts, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when I saw it was $30, so you got it for $10 off.
Yeah, so very cool. It looks very puny next to my giant 89 Batmobile, but it's still very fun, and I'm happy to have Cesar Romero to go with my Jack and Adam West to go with my Michael. So
now you need to get the tumbler.
I gotta get the tumbler and get Heath. Heath and Christian, and then I'll have a complete set. I don't care about anything else. Actually, I would get a Batman Forever Batmobile.
Yeah,
I like that Batmobile a lot, and I like Val enough.
I like that Batmobile a lot too. That Batmobile is so much better than the Batman and Robin Batmobile.
Stinks.
So I like that Batmobile. So
all right. This is a very long episode. I hope everybody enjoyed our Many Saints of Newark talk, and I think we ultimately saved the book talk at the end. Even though it's the most unstructured, terrible thing. But
as you're stumbling through your notes, trying to decipher the end of the book that you don't remember, and I am sitting here you're one of them is shot, and I'm like, what? Who is shot?
That's a great moment. That's like the Pratt is Mario moment all over again. The best moment in the history of our show. All right, everybody.
All right, until the books are due back.
The library is closed.
Padawan Library is hosted and produced by Tim May and Levi Peretic. It is edited by Tim May. Our theme song is by The Astral Project. Our artwork is by Freddie Funbuns. Padawan Library is copyright 2021. Tim May and Levi Paratic. All rights reserved.